Okay, so on to laying out the electronics. You know, the volume pot, the tone pot, and the pickup selector switch. There's a couple things we want to take into account here. First off, we're using a flush mount jack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the jack first, because these things tend to you know, extend pretty far into the body, and I want to make sure that I have this area reserved for the jack, and that I don't encroach on that area with, you know, placing my tone control too close to it. So we'll lay this out first, just kind of get it to an area where we think it's going to be comfortable. Looks pretty good right there. And another thing, we want to make sure that it's not hanging over this edge at all. We want to make sure that it's you bring it back so that the edge of the instrument is you know, you want it sitting back from the edge of the instrument, because this is going to be recessed in here. We're going to do a counter bore so that it's sits nice and flush with the side of the body here. So we just want to get it up so it's just at that point. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run 2 lines up the sides of it, just to symbolize the angle that it's going to be you know, installed at. And then what we want to do is take the nut and thread the nut on here, you know, about 4 or 5 turns, so that, you know, you got lots of thread. It's grabbing onto lots of thread. And then you just want to mark underneath, just underneath that nut there, right here, and on the other side as well. Okay. And then we want to just join those 2 lines there, like so. And that will give us a ledge, so that whenever this is installed, there'll be a ledge here for this nut and washer to sit on, and it'll allow us to fasten it to the actual body. Okay, so we know that actually what we're going to do is we're going to mark out exactly where it comes to as well. Okay, I'm just going to do it like this actually, because that's kind of the shape that it takes. Okay, so we know that this area here is reserved for our flush mount jack. So next thing we got to take into consideration is the volume control, the location of it. You know, depending on the type of player you are, some guys use their volume control extensively, others don't. So whenever you're laying this out, you want to make sure it's exactly at the place that you want to. You know, I've owned guitars where they're a little bit too far forward, and I don't use the volume control a whole lot. So you know, it was more of a nuisance for me. You know, it was great for access for it if I used it all the time, but it just seemed to be getting in the way more than anything, because, you know, anytime I did any kind of aggressive strumming, my hand would hit the side of the knob, and it would eventually dial my volume down gradually, but you know, by the time you get halfway through a song, you would notice it. So, you know, I tend to like to set mine back a little bit further. So this one here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it back just about to where the front of the bridge is. So we'll make our mark down here, and it's just approximate. It doesn't have to be perfect. One thing I did take a measurement from our scale drawing, and that was measuring down from here to get our location this way. And I had 1 5/8 inches, so we'll mark that there. So that's going to be the center point of our volume pot. I have another measurement that I took from our drawing as well, and that was 3 1/4 inches, and that was the distance between the volume pot and the tone pot. So I'm just going to find where 3 1/4 inches is going to fit the best, and I'm thinking it's going to be right about here maybe. So I'll make a mark there, and I'm going to join the 2 lines together. So we'll draw our line here, going straight up there. Okay. So I know that's where my tone control is going to be. Okay. It's not going to interfere with our jack, so we're good to go. Now we have our toggle switch, last but not least. So what we're going to do is we're just going to split the difference between here and here, which is 3 1/4, so that's going to be 1 5/8 inches. So we're going to mark down here 1 inch and 5/8 right there. So there's our center point between these 2 points, and I think that's where we're going to put our tone control or our toggle switch. We'll do these ones first. We'll set up and drill these ones first. It's going to require 2 size bits because the bit for the switch is going to be a little bit bigger. So we'll take this over to the drill press and drill these holes. Okay, so first of all, what we want to do is we want to center punch all of these holes here. Start with the volume. Looks like we got exactly where we want to be right there. And for the one for the switch. Okay. And the tone control. Okay. Looking good. Now we're going to start with the hole for the switch first, and no real reason. The only reason is because it requires a 1/2 inch hole, and we happen to have a 1/2 inch bit in here already. So looking good here, and we're just going to drill these all the way through. We don't really care about tear out too much because you know, all of this stuff. This is going to be the actual cavity, so all of the material around the back of the hole or the bottom of the hole here is going to be removed. So tear out, not a big deal. Okay, here we go. Good. No sweat. Okay, now the holes for the pots, and I'm just gonna grab the proper size bit, set it up in here, and then we'll be ready to drill those ones. Okay, so I got my 11/32 drill bit installed in here for my volume and tone pots. And we're right on our mark here for the volume, so I'm going to go ahead and drill it. Yep, good to go. Okay, now for our tone. So we're looking good. They're right through to the back, as you can see. And so now we're going to use these reference holes to figure out the shape of our electronics cavity. Okay, so next we want to lay out our hole in our counterbore for our jack here. And so basically we want to take it from, because we have a 3/16 back and a 3/16 front on this, and we just have to center the hole in between this part of the body blank on the mahogany here. So find our location. We'll just make our center mark here where we're going to be, right there. And then we want to measure down, and we've got about 1 3/8 inches. So that means we want to come in 11/16. So 8, 9, 10, 11/16. And still 11/16 from here as well. That's looking pretty good right there. Okay, so we're going to grab a square, and we're just going to try and draw a square line up here. We're just going to rest the square here, line it up to our line, and just like that, we have the location for our jack. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a pilot hole first, and because what we need to do is we need to do the counter bore, and then after we're done the counter bore, then we need to drill the actual through hole. So we're gonna grab the smallest bit that we can that's going to reach to this ledge, and we're going to use that as our pilot bit. Okay, so I've got a 3/32 bit in my hand drill here, and you know, this isn't rocket science or anything. We are going to center punch that though. Just make sure we stay straight there. Not straight. Make sure we don't skate around. Okay, it's looking pretty good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to try and lock this down a little bit better than it is. That should be good there. Okay, yeah, that's not moving now. Now, while I'm drilling this hole, I want to try and keep reference as to the angle that I'm holding it on, as well as keeping it straight this way. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit difficult. In fact, I'm probably going to turn it just a little bit more so that I can see the other side where my marks are here. Okay, so here goes nothing. This has to be pretty straight because everything else is going to follow this. So looks like that was pretty good. Okay, so now we need to find the proper Forstner bit that's going to accept this this rim on the top of here. You can see that there. We need a Forstner bit to make sure that we can sink this area down past the surface of the body. So we're going to go match that up right now. Okay, so we've got a 3/4 inch Forstner bit in here. You can see it there, and that's perfect size. It's just a little bit bigger than the diameter of this the ring here on the top here, but we want a little bit bigger because you want to be able to grab a hold of this with some needle nose pliers or something while you're tightening the nut, so it doesn't just keep spinning on you. So it's good to have a little bit of clearance in the pocket to allow you to do that. Okay, and all we're going to do is we're just going to go little by little. We're going to take down probably about 1/16 of an inch at a time, and then we're going to check it, and then take it down a little bit more if we have to, and try to keep this as straight as possible while we're doing it. Okay. Checking our progress here. Checking for evenness and depth, and then we'll know, see we're a little bit shallow here, so we'll know what to apply some pressure on that side there. And a little bit shallow on the bottom here. Starting to look pretty good there. And that's going to be, I think, just about perfect for what we need. Okay, I think that's going to be great. So, just going to go a little bit deeper, I think, just to be sure. Looking nice and even in depth. Yeah, and that's going to sit nice and flush. Actually, just going to make this side a little bit deeper here. A little bit more. That's looking pretty good. Okay. So we're going to switch out to do the bit, to do the through hole that will accept the shaft of this. Okay, so we've determined that this shaft here requires a 1/2 inch hole. So I've got my 1/2 inch Forstner bit in here, and again with this, I want to make sure we're nice and centered. Get started here, and we just want to ride this pilot hole all the way through. Sure we're maintaining this centered hole there, looking good. Still looking good. Still going strong. Looks like we just got to go just a little bit more on our back here. And that should definitely do it. That's perfect. Okay, so I'll make sure that's going to slide in there. Nice. That's going to be great. Okay, so now that we've got all those drilled out, we could start working on figuring out a shape for our electronics cavity here, and then we'll hog out most of the material and then take the router to it. And that should be most of the big routing jobs that are going to be required on this. We got the battery box to do yet after this, actually, so you know, a couple more there yet anyways, but we'll get this electronics cavity all laid out and get it ready to cut.